Although the expedition was timed to reach the river at the end of the monsoon season, when the water would be at its height, no one had expected it to be quite so powerful.
Like Boss said, that there's been a big flood down here, about last year time. I mean, which way would you get down here, Mick?
It's crazy, we're not fresh. We've been walking 6 days. I'd give it a miss, Rog. 3 weeks' time, I think we're looking at it differently. It would have dropped a couple of feet.
Anyway, I don't fancy it today.
No.
While the kayakers were inspecting the river, the pilots were getting their first taste of flying in high mountains. Every foot of extra altitude alters the handling of the ultralights and increases their airspeed, making landing much more difficult. In the steep mountain gorges, an engine failure would mean almost certain death. The pilots Simon Baker and David Young have brought parachutes just in case. Their teacher is team member Phil Bond, a British Air Force parachuting instructor.
Single canopy is 24 foot in diameter. Okay, if you'd like to pull the handle then, Simon, you'll see what happens. All right, so you've got your auxiliary parachute, the back peels off, and then the airflow then takes this away. Parachute first, and then from there, we'll pay out the rigging lines as well.
The ultralights are now flying at 15,000 feet above sea level and are becoming more difficult to handle. The pilots have brought with them 2 types of wing, a standard version and a specially adapted model, which they have christened the Khumbu Raven. To cope with the problems of high altitude, they attached the new wings to both aircraft. At 12,200 feet, this landing strip is undoubtedly the highest in the area. 1,000 feet below it lies the small town of Namche Bazaar. Namche Bazaar is the administrative and commercial center for the Khumbu region. It is also the home of the Sherpas, the famous Nepalese tribe that provides the high-altitude porters for climbing expeditions. Tourism and expeditions have brought relative prosperity to Namche Bazaar. At one time, the Sherpas were among the poorest people in Nepal, but now 8,000 or 9,000 foreign trekkers pass through this region every year, and a cash economy has developed. Because there are no more airstrips above this point, the pilots have time on their hands. Above Namche, the vegetation changes, and the group slows down to acclimate to the high altitude. Only 15 years ago, 1 out of every 50 visitors to this area used to die from altitude sickness. Now, with greater understanding of the problem, there are far fewer deaths. Meanwhile, Mary Ganjakowski, the expedition doctor, is persuaded to offer her services in pursuit of a new ultralighting record. The pilots want to find out if they can take off at such high altitude carrying a passenger. Mary, the smallest and lightest member of the team, is the obvious guinea pig. Built by a Japanese hotel consortium, the airstrip is now abandoned. As the ultralight roars down the runway, no one knows exactly what will happen, but it works.
We will return to National Geographic Explorer after these messages.
They set off towards Everest. During the flight, Simon and Mary reached 17,000 feet, for two people, another record. Records aside, from a purely practical point of view, they have proved the ultralights could carry kayakers on river reconnaissance.
That was fantastic.
2 days march or 10 minutes flying time further up the valley, the main group is building an airstrip. Under the firm direction of the head porter, the job is completed in 2 days, which at this altitude is fast work indeed.
What a baby, eh? What a big baby.
Yeah.
There is a very basic instruction in the ultralight handbook, which says simply, do not fly in mountains. Although it looks beautiful and perhaps easy, only highly experienced and skillful pilots could hope to survive flying at these altitudes and in these fast-changing and dangerous climatic conditions. At double the normal speed and on a crude runway, it requires a certain courage to even attempt a landing in this place.
Watch the brace, we might roll backwards.
Is that a good runway or what?
That's a brilliant runway. How long is it?
2 days. That's excellent.
It's a wee bit rough.
At 14,500 feet, the aircraft hits the ground at 60 miles per hour. Only special suspension prevents the machine from being smashed.
Yes, go on, go on, go on, go on, go on.
Nice man.
Yay! It seems it's hard to get high sometimes. It looks as if you're in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, but it was quite bumpy in places, wasn't it? Yeah. I would have taken off that second, third and fourth hill.
What do you want? 14,500 feet in the Himalayas, you expect it flat?
Yeah.
Listen.
Oh, it's great.
For the first time, the whole team is assembled in one place.
Birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Michael. Happy birthday to you.
You must be used
Give
to
me
it.
the biggest one.
You must be. There isn't a biggest one, Roger. They're all exactly the same size.
Yeah? I'll have that
there.
small one that's closest to me. You know, the one about 3 inches across. Come on, boy.
A real work
Get
of
on
art.
with it. Come on. You'll be 32 time you've dished.
They have almost reached the source of the river. But before they begin their descent, there is one more record to be broken. They intend to land an ultralight higher than anyone else has ever attempted. In the shadow of Mount Everest, they find one tiny flat space.
The problem is, the higher we get, the more runway is going to need. We've probably got about 150 metres here, which probably isn't long enough technically. So we've got a big run out at the end, which we've got to clear the rocks out of. Basically, we've got to make it as flat and as smooth as possible. Just get rid of all the big rocks so that if he comes in and he's gone too fast, he doesn't kill himself. Now, the weather's pretty grotty. If it gets much worse, the porters won't work, which means it's down to us. Obviously, no one's going to be able to work very fast because of the altitude problem.
At 17,000 feet, they assume this must be the world's highest runway. The next day, the weather is perfect.
Where is it? Can you see it?
He's just coming across the front of the face there, look, moving towards Everest. It's really high.
Oh, it must be 20,000 feet.
It looks really good.
At 20,000 feet, flying with a standard engine that delivers only half its normal power, Simon Baker is operating at the very limits of ultralight technology.
15,500 feet. It looks so close, doesn't it, to those mountains? It looks like it's going to crash into them.
It's still on full power. I don't know why he's not letting the power off at all to start the descent. I think it must be frozen on.
Simon's throttle has frozen, and at an approach speed of 90 miles an hour, he is forced to switch off and glide. Without power, he has to get it right the first time.
Fantastic.
That's 17,000 feet.
It's wrong. It's 500 feet out. The map says 17.5.
17,500? Oh, yeah.
Brilliant. Well done, mate.
Congratulations, Simon.
I would say that was an equivalent of a grade 6 river. Definitely.
Brilliant. Well done, mate.
Yay!
Because of the lie of the runway, it is impossible to take off again. But that presents no problem with an ultralight. You simply take it apart.
Push.
In about 40 minutes, the machine is broken into loads small enough to be carried. They trudge away from Everest, unaware that one of their accomplishments has been surpassed. On the same day Simon took off from 17,000 feet, a Frenchman who had crash-landed on Mount Kilimanjaro managed to take off again from 18,000 feet. The expedition's triumph was short-lived.
The adventure continues when National Geographic Explorer returns after this.
The river becomes navigable at 14,000 feet. 11 years ago, another expedition attempted to run this river, but they were forced to bypass very large sections of it. With better equipment and modern techniques, these kayakers hope to do better. This is no small ambition, for the Dudkosi is a mighty river. Dudkosi means milk river. It is a fitting name, for ahead lie 80 miles of continuous white water. As the kayakers begin their journey, the pilots prepare for their task of carrying out reconnaissance in the gorges downstream. Over the next 80 miles, the river drops more than 11,000 feet. The air at this altitude is so thin that within minutes of setting out, the kayakers are fighting for breath. The upper part of the river flows straight from a glacier, and the water is bitterly cold. Sometimes so is the weather. In Europe and North America, the fastest rivers that are run by kayakers drop at the rate of 200 feet per mile. The Dude Cozy is cascading down its valley twice as fast. This entire part of the river is filled with treacherous rocks. Every few yards, they're smashed into something. With every mile, the river becomes faster, more powerful, and more dangerous. This is Roger Huyton, famous for taking part in the first expedition to Dude Cozy some 11 years ago. Mike Hewlett, a computer programmer by trade, and in his spare time, one of Britain's top whitewater paddlers. Mick Coyne, ex-Marine, veteran of several wild adventures, and leader of the expedition. John Taylor, at 37, the oldest member of the team, and the expedition administrator. And Phil Bond, the parachuting instructor. One of the major hazards of whitewater kayaking is to be pinned against a rock. In the worst case, a man can be trapped underwater and drown. Or the boat can fold up so that it is impossible to kick free. The last member of the team is John Swanzik, a superb kayaker from Colorado. He handles his craft with the elegance of a dancer. After 8 miles of furious paddling, they reach a point where the river becomes impassable. It is the first of 2 similar stretches they will be unable to complete. As in any dangerous sport or occupation, the art of survival lies in knowing when enough. Libre.